So, hello and welcome to the VR Untethered podcast, your weekly source of stuff. I'm Josh, that's Brad. We are in Skype today instead of AltSpace because we've been having a few issues with that. So hopefully this goes a lot better and you can see our lovely mugs. With no further ado, let's jump into the highlights of the week. Brad, what was your favorite highlight for this week?
The highlight of this week for me was going back and playing Superhot VR. I didn't remember it being so amazingly active. And I also read someone on Reddit had written something about being able to block the bullets with their gun, which is the first time I even thought about something like that.
Yeah.
And it really made the game a lot easier.
Well, yeah, except your gun shatters, I think, when you do that, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't.
Oh,
No.
okay. I thought it did. Okay.
No. So
Okay.
that actually gave me a little bit of a reprieve. And
Yeah.
I think I mentioned once on a show last time that playing Audica has definitely improved my shooting skills.
Yep.
So I've been going back in and playing a lot of my first-person shooters again and enjoying them now that I'm actually winning and
Right.
beating. Uh,
That's always a big key sometimes. Yep.
Yeah, it's definitely a motivator. And going through my library the other day, I realized I could probably play every game in my library for the next month or two without adding to it and still be able to play every day.
Yeah. You've got a pretty big library. Not quite as big as Michael's library, but almost.
Well, that was sort of like the Library of Alexandria. You know, that one is really well.
Yeah.
Michael's VR library is sort of, I think worshipped by the rest of the world. So.
Well, his library is not quite as big as the professional YouTubers' VR libraries, who get the games for free a lot of times, so they have, much bigger
Oh,
budget, much bigger budgets for that.
it would be nice, except I don't know where I would have the time to play all the games that
Well,
I
yeah,
could
that's why
actually.
they don't always they go back and do the gameplay videos of the game. They just do a new game thing and a review and whatnot and highlight a couple videos and then they have to move on to another video because otherwise,
Right.
so
And this
that's a
week I was,
drawback of being a more high level YouTuber.
well, this weekend actually, as opposed to playing the games, a lot of what I was doing was watching the side quest demonstrations on YouTube of the different hand applications that the
Mhm.
developers are working on.
Yeah,
And some of them look super cool.
some of them look a little freaky, like that one where you got hands on at the end of all of your fingers.
Yeah, that sort of looked pretty nightmarish.
You
I
think?
I can't imagine where that one goes, and I don't think I will until it's actually implemented. But
Well, as far as I know, that's just a little thing where it's got a couple, like 4 or 5 cute things you can do with it, like to clap and you get a bigger hand, clap and you get a smaller hand, or or whatever. I don't know that there's any actual point to anything. You know,
did you see the handshaking
from what
one?
I've seen. What?
The handshaking one looked very interesting,
Just the handshaking one? What do you mean?
where somebody actually reaches in and uses their hand in VR to shake another hand in VR.
Hmm. Well, that happens all the time in Rec Room. That's how you make friends.
Well, yes, but without a
Not with
controller.
hand tracking though, right?
Right, that's just it. So, and in a way, it sort of annoys me that every time I put on the headset now, it's looking for my hands as opposed to the controller, and it's telling me I can't find your controllers. You're not really looking, you're just
Right.
not.
I know. Well, what I don't like is I've had to reset my Guardian almost every time I put on my headset lately. I'm like, is it a function of update 13 that I have to redraw my Guardian every time? Because that's annoying.
Mm. I don't have it every time, but I do have it more often than I ever had it before.
Yeah, and I like that it tells you that it doesn't have enough light for your hands, but if you're putting on the headset and then you're grabbing your controllers, you don't really need that warning. It's
That's
kind of
true.
annoying. I'm like, yes, I know. That's why I'm grabbing the controllers.
I know. And it is kind of annoying that you do need a lot more light than you used to get those controllers functioning the way
Yeah.
they used to.
That is true. I have enough light for decent uh, hand tracking. Sometimes I'm doing it at night, and if any of my lights are off, you know, if I turn like one light off, there's not enough light. So
I know, go figure.
yeah. So anyways, moving on to my highlights. Probably my biggest highlight of the week would have to be taking advantage of the special limited time deal for a free copy of Sport Scramble, which was likely a glitch, but I view it like I was playing Monopoly and I drew the card that says bank error in your favor.
Well, yes. So sort of like a 3.5 minute glitch, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, no, it was a little bit longer than that, but yeah. But yeah, I managed to get it for free. That's one of the ones that I've had my eye on for a while, but because of the $30 surprise tag on it, that's out of my VR budget, and unless it's like a truly big name, like Half-Life or Myst or Riven or So, but because of this opportunity to get it at a lower price, free, I got it, and I played through the bowling tutorial and did the free play bowling at the end of it. It's crazy. It's fun. It's got some serious challenges for you. Given the wacky balls that you have and the wacky lanes that you get. Like there's one lane that's about a foot wide and that's moving left to right, and either the side of it is a big drop off to probably hell because it's bottomless. So you have to bowl it on that moving platform, which means that if you don't to time it right or you're not in the right spot, by the time it gets down to the end of the lane, it's going to miss all the pins. But there's a couple buttons that you roll over on that moving platform that to give you points. So,
Okay.
but yeah, it's challenging, and there's one where there's it's set up like it's a hockey lane, and there's a goalie to cut out moving back and forth in front of the pins.
God. Well, that's why they call it Sport Scramble.
To get to the pins.
Wow. It's freaky because this week also, I forgot to mention in highlights, I played Path of the Warrior with Mikey and finally got to the end, where we got to the boss. And it was a fun game. I really enjoyed Path of the Warrior, and it is definitely has a high replay value.
Yeah, I would imagine so. So, speaking of paths, we need to take one step further down the path and go to new releases. Of the
Nice segue.
Freediver, Triton Down, and 11 Table Tennis. Freediver was a surprise Tuesday release. I don't think anybody except the developers and Oculus and Chad knew that it was coming out. And it looks like a really good game. However, it's only about an hour long, and I don't know yet about the replay value of it. I watched the gamer tag, the VR, do a live stream of it. I came in toward the end of the live stream, and he's known for being a little ham-fisted in his approach to games. Like he can't do Aspire in stealth mode.
It's tough.
I would love to see him do the Phantom so Covert Ops when it comes out. But he completed it as Freediver in a little over an hour on the live stream. Now I don't know if he just stayed in missions to focus and didn't go do all the little side quests that there likely are and whatnot, or what. But the fact that it's about an hour and a half long game for $15, for me that's not quite a good enough price to content ratio. So.
No. It just doesn't seem to make it. It really, unless the game becomes, well, we had discussed prior to this that it's an experience as much as it is a game from everything that I've read.
Yeah.
And if you play it through the entire hour and actually make it through, then it's probably an exhilarating hour.
Right. Yeah.
Whether that justifies the price, I don't know.
But that's up to you.
Right.
You know, that's up to you, our lovely viewers.
Yes, it is. You. But everybody's been giving it pretty much 5 or 4 stars, so I have to imagine it's good. And I would also imagine that having the mask is going to be very much like having a scuba mask. Yeah. So it's something that I guess that you'd be able to play.
It's something that I would probably really love, but because I'm on a budget, that's one that I'm going to have to pass on until I can more justify it.
Right.
So.
Well, that's like the situation I'm having right now with the dual pack that's currently on sale, the Shadow Point and Time Stall.
Right.
Which I know after I play each one of them once, that'll be the end of it.
Probably. Well, so Time Stall, there's a little bit of a built-in replay value, because if you don't accomplish all of the achievements, you can go back and try for a perfect 3-star on the achievements and whatnot. You know, so kind of like Angry Birds style. If you get 1 star, 2 star, you can still move on to the next level, but you can always go back and to try for a 3-star and everything.
Right. Which I guess, I've done that a few times, but most of the times, if it's taking me that long to get through it, I'll take the 1 star and move on. And then at some point in the future, when they stop selling games for another month or so, I can go back and try doing something like that. Right. And I saw that they also patched Doctor Who again. I saw that there was an update in my library. And it seemed like there was a lot of updates this week to the games. I mean, I saw my library probably 9 or 10 games updated.
Yeah. That sounds about right. I had a few updates to my games too. I didn't make note of them all though.
But you were too busy bowling.
Yep. The other new release is 11 Table Tennis. It came out on Thursday, and we knew that was coming. Still didn't have a lot of notice it was coming, because it wasn't one that we knew like months in advance it was going to come out on this date. But we had a date. We were expecting it. I was in the beta for it, and so I can compare it with Racket Fury, which is the other Oculus Quest to table tennis game. And in my opinion, 11 is much better physics. It feels more natural. I can juggle the ball on the paddle a lot better than I can in Racket Fury. I can do a harder hit on the ball and not have it just spin off into outer space. I also like that I don't have to specify which region I want to play in order to get an opponent. I can get opponents from all over the world without having to go. Okay, I want to look in Asia. I want to look in Europe. I don't have to set a server. Unfortunately, that also means sometimes you get really bad pings, because they're in Asia, you're in America.
Right.
But they also have a ping compensation slider. I'm not entirely sure what it does, but it obviously applies some sort of magic to try and compensate for the bad connection somehow.
Right.
Racket Fury, on the other hand, has gorgeous graphics and a gorgeous menu UI, and it has a better campaign mode, a single player mode. But that all the graphical goodness of it is a little intensive sometimes, and it can be hard on the Quest, and it sometimes results in some performance issues. So,
but I guess it's sort of it would be nice if they could tweak the game in between each other so that you get the graphical beauty of the Racket Fury and the physics of 11.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and 11 is going to be improving the physics even more in the near future, giving it even more realistic physics.
Well, it would be nice if they shared their secrets with the people over at Racket Fury. That's all I can say.
Yeah. And also, on a side note, the people in the 11 Discord are all nerds and geeks. They were discussing, is it realistic to be able to do a magnet effect in 11 table tennis, so that you hit your ping pong ball and it bounces off of the table, and then it does a loop and comes back and hits on their side. Like, that's pretty high level nerdery to have a discussion like that.
Yeah, that sort of is. When you said they were geeks and nerds, I was going to say, I think you're referring to 90% of our audience as well.
Until I got into the details.
Until you got into the details, then everything just hit the fan and we're off into another planet.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a little bit of an interesting discussion, but still, overall, it's got much better physics, and as a result, I found it a little bit more enjoyable to play, because I didn't get so frustrated by the more arcadey physics that the Racket Fury has. So.
Well, even under simulation, that's the thing, is that Racket Fury gives you the choice between arcade and simulation, but even simulation is arcadey. So.
Yes. No. So, anyways, now that we are done with that, moving on to upcoming titles. As far as we know, there are none for next week. But that's kind of been the case for the past couple of months. There's nothing for the first couple of weeks of the month, and then in the latter half of the month is when we get stuff. So it could be that is how Oculus is doing it now. So.
It seems that they are giving you a bit of a sale price on the older games.
Right.
And that's sort of hoping to fill the lull, I guess, between the games that they've announced and are still perfecting, and the ones that they still have that people might still want to buy.
Right.
So,
or maybe they are doing this so that you have the time to play the game that you just bought instead of going right into buying a new one.
Well, that would be interesting, because other than maybe 3 games on my system, I don't think I've finished any of them too.
I know.
I just keep moving right along, and it's which is great. Like I said, it gives me the opportunity to go back and spend all of this free time with games that I purchased in anticipation of playing, which I now can go back and play. So it is nice. And the only thing I've noticed is that multiplayer has gotten kind of weird, because like, the game Contractors, which was out there and we've been playing in beta, which now seems to be an on again, off again. I don't know what's going on with Contractors right now.
Yeah.
And it seems like all of the really and highly anticipated multiplayer games are just not showing up.
Yeah. I just hope that they don't all show up at the same time.
Oh, they will.
That would probably not be good.
Like the Oculus Onward, sale with every game that you could possibly.
So, it's the Oculus Onward Contractors Pavlov Echo sale.
Oh my God! Well, the only one different.
Echo is Echo. Yeah, but yeah, all the big anticipated titles all at once. Yeah. I don't think that'd be a good idea.
Well, I think the funny part is how much everybody is waiting for Echo VR, still not realizing that it's a no gravity game, and they might be a little surprised that their initial reaction might be a bit more belly flopping than they anticipated.
Well, I would like to think that people that are waiting for it know what it is, but you're right, so some of them might not.
Well, they should take a little trip through the International Space Station a few times and get ready, because it's sort of like riding through that and playing.
Yeah, and I had no problem with that.
Well, you don't have a problem with any kind of motion sickness, so go ahead, keep bragging. Whereas I, on the other hand, being a normal human, have incredible motion sickness and fear of heights, which... I have to admit, this has helped me overcome it, and especially in that scene in Super Hot VR where there is nothing to do but jump out the window. It literally took me 3 playthroughs before I would jump through the window. It was just too realistic for me, It just. But.
Yeah. However, even though we don't have any known titles coming next week, we have a bunch of titles that are coming out on March 26th. And one super big title that is coming out on the 23rd, although not for the Quest. Not directly.
Which one on the 23rd?
We'll get to that in a second.
Oh, okay.
We have Down the Rabbit Hole, that is coming out on March 26th from Cortopia, who are the makers of Wand, which is a hugely popular game. And so Down the Rabbit Hole is an Alice in the Wonderland inspired kind of prequel of sorts to the game. It's a puzzle game. And they've made an announcement that the girl is not Alice, but is a girl who, while searching for her lost pet, falls down a giant hole and ends up talking with the Chester Cat, the caterpillars, etc., and having to solve the puzzle to get her pet back. And there are choices you can make throughout the game that kind of to customize it for you a little bit, and to give you a little bit of alternate endings at the end. So,
which is great.
Yep, and we've seen a few of the YouTubers do have playthrough of a special YouTuber preview edition that stops in I think the Hall of Mirrors, where the caterpillar is. So.
I'm interested in seeing that one.
Yeah.
And Orbis is also doing a DLC, Orbis VR.
Yep. They are releasing their mini games update and whatnot, and so it's still going strong and adding content and drawing players back into it, which is what you should be doing if you are doing an MMO game like that. So.
Well, and I also noticed that Swords of Gargantua is making changes to their inventory system and their coin system. And so once again, another developer who's consistently working on their game. The same as, I think, Real Fishing VR.
So they got an update,
And they're supposed to be adding YouTube so that you'll be able to go into the cabin and watch TV in your cabin as opposed to fishing, which I don't know. Maybe that's going a little too far, but
Maybe. We also have The Room VR, a Dark Matter, coming out on March 26th. And that's a game that I just hope it's not going to be $30 because then I'm going to have to either go back on my word that that's the price I don't buy games at, or I'm going to have to buy it, or I'm going to have to not buy it, one or the other. So we'll see.
it does
But
look legit, though.
yeah, it does look really good. What we have seen so far indicates that it's teleport only, which I can understand that some people are going to be a little bit miffed with that, but it's not really that it's game breaking, I think, because if the game is designed around that, then it makes sense and it will feel right and it'll feel natural, and you're not going to go, but I,
Right.
So, so just like Wands is a teleport only game. And it makes sense in there that part of the strategy of Wands is the teleporting and knowing when to teleport, when not to teleport, and all that. So, this obviously is not a first-person shooter style game, so you're not going to need twitch reactions and, and teleporting, I don't think. But yeah, it does look like it'll be a fun and deliciously creepy game.
Yeah, speaking of deliciously creepy, I don't know if you read recently that Dread Halls,
Oh yeah,
which on Quest has outsold every other platform by 5 times the amount of
yeah,
the game being sold.
yep. I forgot to add that into our news, so thank you for bringing it up. Yeah, they are so coming out with Cosmophobia, a
Yeah,
space-themed horror survival game.
right. More alien based, where you're on a
Yep.
spaceship and from everything I've read, as long as you have some adult-sized diapers in the house, it should be fun to play. If not, maybe you should pick some up before you pick up the game.
Or just play standing in the bathtub.
There you go. I mean, there's all sorts of options.
Robert Scoble might do that.
Ooh, at that point, you're going to be really happy that it's transport only. I would say that.
Hotel border.
So
So, and the game that is coming out on March 23rd, but not for Quest, is of course Half-Life Alyx.
da-da-da.
Yeah. Quest users will be able to 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 play it if you have Link or Virtual Desktop and a powerful enough gaming computer to install it on. It's, I think, currently still, what is it, $59 or something like that, and then once it's out, it'll be 10% or 20%, I forget which, more. It'll be in the $60 range. So it's definitely a full-fledged PC flat screen game priced game. So, but it's Half-Life. Valve, they command that price.
That's true. I wonder what that's going to do for like the Oculus uh, acquiring the people who did Asgard's Wrath.
Yeah,
They've been,
or whatever.
yeah, Santaru. So that's, once again, it seems like they're going to go for the big games as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, it makes sense. We started off with mostly indie devs, and now they're getting more and more into AAA titles, AAA developers.
Right.
I
And
think
they
there's
have
always going to be
wireless.
a spot for the indie devs, though. So there's always going to be room for them. I think. I don't think that the AAA devs at this point are going to completely supplant the indie devs.
Not yet, but I did
Maybe,
read that
maybe sometime in the future. I don't know.
well, I just read that the 100th VR game just broke $1 million.
Yeah.
So
I saw that. Yeah, it's 100 games have broken $1 million, and I think that came from Tipatat. And I think he said that he's expecting or anticipating what is it, to see the first VR game break $100 million this year. I think.
Mm.
I think
Which,
he thinks that that's possible. How's that?
right. Well, yes, because I've been reading also that most of the people who are the leaders, so to speak, are agreeing that this is now not a fad, but a platform.
Right.
So that's really good for all of us, and the
Yeah.
fact that we all already own the wireless headset
Yep.
really takes us ahead of all the people waiting for their headsets to come due to the coronavirus not letting anything come in anymore.
Right. Speaking of that, let's move into the news.
Ta-da!
And
Gary
speaking
News.
of the coronavirus, GDC, the Game Developers Conference, has been postponed until late summer after major players such as Facebook, Sony, and Epic Games have pulled out due
As
to
well as
coronavirus concerns.
the F8 has also been canceled.
Yes, F8 has been canceled as well. As we mentioned last week, we're still going to get all the news. All the news is going to come out, what they're working on, what they've got coming out. All that's going to come out. We're going to hear that. We're going to learn that. There's going to be live streams. I don't know if there's going to be any in VR stuff, but that would be a really good marketing move for Facebook or Sony or Epic Games to do.
Mm-hmm. I would
In my
think
opinion,
so.
that would be a great marketing move that would sell the idea of, hey, Quest,
Right.
or even Rift S, or VR in general, as
I
a way to safely attend from the privacy and the hygiene of your own home. Yeah.
Right. Why spend the $400 on an N95 respirator when you could spend it on a Quest and just attend all of these meetings and without the airline ticket? I think
Something
you
like that,
are,
right?
yeah, but you are going to see that, I think. This is going to
Yeah.
hasten it with, especially tech companies that have tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, employees that no longer have to come in physical contact with each other, breathe
Right.
on each other, sneeze on each other.
Right. Yeah.
I think that this pandemic or this
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean,
approaching
I think it's a
pandemic,
matter of time before it becomes more to come in place. I think you're right, and this might be a strong push in that direction.
I would think so.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it reminds me of a little bit of when I was in the Educators in VR event, and I attended Matt. I, I'm always not sure I'm pronouncing his last name right. Chacon's event. He's the VR CEO, Rumi, um, and he mentioned in his talk that they attend all of these things in VR.
Hmm.
Because what they do is they either reach out to a vendor who is there, and they might just send them a laptop and a VR headset if they don't have one already, and then so they meet with them in VR, and you know they're there in VR.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean, when you think about it, the price of a headset being sent to a potential customer is probably the same price as an airline ticket. And now you can meet this person in VR
Right.
forever.
Well, yeah, and I mean, it saves them a lot of money because they don't have to foot hotel bill, they don't have to foot
Right,
airline, they don't have to foot food bill, buying random stuff there bills, or
exactly.
so it takes like with $2,000 a day or whatever, it makes it just the
$8.
the price of registration. You
Exactly.
know,
So
so
yeah, I definitely believe that this will push the idea more, at least put it in front of more people's eyes that have decision-making capabilities. So.
Right. Moving on to another bit of news. Microsoft is integrating Windows Mixed Reality with Windows Core operating system. I believe I got the meaning of the acronym right. WCOS. And this is partially revealed by a new job opening that they have. And the Windows Core OS is what's going to be underlying HoloLens, and it's also what's going to be underlying Xbox, or what is underlying Xbox, or whatever. So they are integrating that more. They have a new job opening to posting for developing for that, and that's a step towards more VR integration and to make it more mainstream and all of that. And it could potentially, because it'll be integrated with Windows Core OS, and Xbox runs on Windows Core OS, it could possibly pave the way for Xbox at some point doing VR. I know the head of Xbox itself has said that that's not in the plans right now and whatnot, but it sounds like the rest of Microsoft is laying the groundwork for him to go, oh, all right, I'll push the button.
Exactly. And they've been doing that for a while. I mean, Windows had, virtual reality, the Windows mixed reality built into the operating system for quite a while now.
Right. So this is a different than, it has been kind of included in Windows 10, but this is now Windows Core OS, which I think is more of the embedded version of Windows.
Right. Well, they're coming out with a whole new Windows X in the next year or two, which is going to require us all to abandon whatever computer we have because it won't run on anything that exists yet. And this is Microsoft, and this is their plans.
That might mean I go back to Linux. I don't know.
None of us do. Right, exactly. We'll see exactly. We'll all be using Chromebooks.
Well, speaking of Linux, evidently Immersed now works with Linux.
Yeah,
that's another virtual desktop like app. I don't think they have the VR streaming like VR Desktop does, but I could be wrong. It's been a while since I have used Immersed, so I don't know. But at the very least, it has the remote desktop streaming, and in my opinion, it worked a lot better than Virtual Desktop did. So for me, because when I was doing Virtual Desktop with my local computers, it would disconnect and then it wouldn't reconnect, or it would show that there were no computers present, and I tried everything and I couldn't really get it working right. I've got it working with my shadow computer now, but I still get that disconnection every 10 minutes or so. And if Immersed offered VR streaming, I think it would work flawlessly for me. I don't know what they do differently, but it worked better for me. So
I'm wondering what the problem is that Facebook is running into and why their app isn't out yet, being that...
I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question. And at some point, Shadow is going to come out with a Quest app to directly connect to Shadow. So that might bypass the Virtual Desktop for the Shadow crowd, Right. And that might work better for me too. I don't know. For now, I've got Virtual Desktop. It works well enough. I wouldn't want to try to play onward with it because I'd be like, okay, I got him in there.
Yeah.
Lose the match.
Latency issues there. Latency issues.
No, that's not latency. That's been disconnected with a Virtual Desktop.
Oh
and
God.
then it takes a minute or two to
Oh,
get
so that was
reconnected.
buffering. That was your
No,
buffer.
no, not buffering. Everything freezes, and you know how it becomes just that regular window,
Right.
and it's surrounded by black
Oh wow.
when the VR stuff freezes like that,
Uh-huh.
and it's here, and you can look around and see all black, and right. Um, so that's what happens.
Wow.
And with the beta update and the long press to get into the VR desktop menu,
Hmm.
it doesn't work when I'm in that. So I've got to close VR desktop, reopen it to reconnect. So
That sounds a little
that's a
bit.
pain, but
Yeah.
it's still better than nothing. You know.
Uh,
Speaking of being better than nothing, Apple Glasses patent suggests self-adjusting lenses, which will allow for a perfect fit for all IPDs. Uh, this isn't a guarantee that this is going to come in the Apple Glasses, because patents are filed all the time as a way of saying, let's just cover our best and get the patented. Even though we're not intending on using it anytime soon, we don't want to say a competitor jumping the gun on it.
exactly.
So,
Exactly. Yeah.
but that would be a truly useful and revolutionary thing there, because that's a big problem with a lot of VR headsets. Not all of them have IPD adjustments, and the ones that do are limited in their range. The
Mhm.
Oculus Quest can't be used by everybody because of that IPD adjustment.
That's true.
It's got IPD adjustment, but it's a range of like this, and if you are here or here, you're out of luck.
Exactly. Exactly. It is a pretty wide range, though, but
Yeah, it is.
I have to give it that. Also, I was going to say that I believe it's Danny Bittman is now giving advice to people who want to get into modeling, and they're asking which headset to use. He's now saying the Quest is the only headset that he's recommending
Well, yeah,
because
because it's the most versatile.
exactly. And he said all the tools you're going to need are in there,
Yep.
obviously not Blender yet, but
Right.
as far as he's concerned, that's the go-to at this point.
Yeah.
And even Ferrari was saying the other day that it now takes them 40% less time to develop their cars, the way that Ford used to rave about it. So,
Right. Yeah. Um, in another bit of news, speaking of Quest and how versatile it is because of Link, now the desktop version of Oculus and the Quest do not have to be on the same version in order for Link to work. However,
but
you
within one,
still need to be within a version of each other.
right,
So I can't have one at version 12 and the other at version 15.
right,
But you don't have to wait for the Quest to catch up to the desktop or the other way around to keep using Link. So the unlinked Link.
oh, okay, we'll let you get by with that one. Yeah, so they are. That would seem to be the thrust of version 14 update was basically the link
Yeah,
update with the
yeah.
microphone
I
and
think that was the biggest thing about it. Yeah,
right, and also I think on Gargantua they were talking about finally fixing the sound as well, but I think that still revolves around Oculus. I think
right.
they have a problem in general with their sound working for everyone. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't. I haven't had an issue lately with if I use Oculus to parties, I've got to reset in order to have to voice chat in other games. But I don't really use Oculus parties that much.
Right.
But when I haven't noticed that I've had to reboot. So maybe they've fixed that, or maybe I've just been lucking out. You never know sometimes.
When you read about the people on Reddit that complain about things, and other people are saying, yes, that happens to me too, and I'm the one going, oh, thank God that hasn't happened to me. And The only thing that has happened to me, which everyone should complain about, is that squeaky right controller trigger.
Yeah, if you are in a game and you've got your headsets on, you're not gonna notice it.
True, but once you do notice it, it's impossible to unnotice it in between the sounds, and you hear that squeak, 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 squeak. It's like,
I can unnotice anything. I
really?
can unnotice you right now.
Oh,
Oh, wait, there you are.
oh, wow. I know it's tough to get used to real reality when we've been in virtual reality so long.
Yeah. And we already mentioned Time Stall and Shadowpoint, the other dual pack of the week. But both are great games. It's a great price for getting those two games. They're both not necessarily high replay value, and I think they're both a little bit on the short side also. But at this price, it might be worth it for you for the price to content ratio. So
Well, I think Shadowpoint had some content. I think they said that was like a 6 to 8 hour game. Time
okay,
Stall, again, is going to be like an hour and a half or
yeah.
so.
So that was like hour and a half, 2 hours or something. Yeah, but so anyways, we already discussed that, so we're not going to spend a lot of time on that.
Okay.
And now to another, not strictly Oculus Quest game, but Smush.tv is now out in early access on Steam for 15% off. It's an asynchronous pancake versus VR game. And it looks like on the pancake gaming side, which can be up to 4 non-VR players, they are basically playing Tetris, and they are dropping blocks. The VR player is on top of the block and has to avoid getting smushed by the blocks. Well, whereas the non-VR players are trying to obviously play the Tetris-style game and smush the VR player.
Okay. Have you seen any of that, or I can't?
I've seen a couple the trailer videos and whatnot. I haven't seen any actual dedicated gameplay yet, though.
Okay. That sounds like it could be interesting.
Yeah, so it sounds like they might be onto something there, or just onto something. Hard to tell sometimes.
Right. It's very hard to tell within a week or so. And I also believe that this is going to be the week I decide to put side quests onto my computer and download some of those games, because some of them are looking really good. And I think if I ever want to try the hand tracking in an actual game, it's going to have to be side quest next month or so.
Yeah. I mean, for now, that's the only way you can do it, unless you do the WebVR web slinging one.
Right, which I don't necessarily want to get sick with that, but it's the Waltz of the Wizard. I purchased that game months ago because I knew that would be the first one, and it's really heartbreaking for me to see the developers actually using their hands in the game and doing this cool stuff and not releasing it. Like, please.
Well, yeah, I know, but at the same time, it is a little buggy still. So, what was the I tried out an app called Mr. Scribbles that's available on SideQuest, and you can draw by doing an OK sign basically, and you draw in the air and make a 3D line following your path, and then you can grab it with holding the index and the middle finger down and doing a pinch, and that grabs it, and then you can move it. And if you bring your other hand in the same gesture, middle and index finger down, you can resize it. If you have just the index finger down, you can rotate it. So it's got a lot of different controls based on how many fingers you were holding down and which hand. And
Right.
if you make finger gun, and then a pinch. It does this, and so, and if you hold your hand under one of the shapes, it starts spinning, and if it's one of the prefab shapes, then when it spins long enough and fast enough, a planet comes up in the background.
That's really cool.
And then you can hold on to the shape that you got spinning, to take another spinning shape and hold your hand out, palm out, and back of it, and send that shape into orbit around this shape. And if that other shape is another planet shape, now in the background you have a planet orbiting a planet.
Wow. It's funny because that sounds like a really great toy to play with. The thing I was just thinking about, I'm sorry it goes away a little bit, but Sketchfab, I think it is, just released like 35,000 images to museums, and I guess for everybody to use as public use now, which is...
Yeah, I was going to take a look at that. I saw that announcement, but I hadn't gotten to actually look at all the details yet. But yeah, that's pretty cool.
Oh, that's amazing. It really is. The fact that people are going to start sharing these images, we'll be able to see them around. I'm expecting to see a new exhibit in immersive, or any of the new things that are coming out. It's weird how many new games are coming out for the Go.
Right.
That's what sort of strikes me as very strange. Like, I'm seeing dozens of games being released over the past few weeks for the Go, which I guess is still, they're considering a viable platform.
Well, yeah, and it is still a viable platform, in my opinion. It's got a limited shelf life at this point, I think, because at some point it's going to be discontinued in favor of the Quest, and then the next version of the Quest is going to replace the current version of the Quest. Some people are speculating that they might release a new version of the Quest this year because of all of the Qualcomm chip-based ones that are starting to come out already, and they probably want to stay ahead of that. Maybe, I don't know. Personally, I think it's a little too early for a new version of the Quest. I think that should be next year.
Yes, I agree.
But we'll see. We'll find out one way or the other at some point.
Well, at this point, they're having enough problems just getting back orders filled on the Quest, so I don't know how they're going to be able to release a new one this year. And I think that would probably make people uncomfortable about buying the next new one right away, knowing that 6 months later there could be another one.
Yep.
Sort of like the Cosmos, their release. I don't know. I think there were 4 or 5 faceplates the last time I looked. We might be up to 14 at this point. I don't know.
That's kind of insane that they've got so many different versions of it now.
They might want to put out an AR game or two before they put out that faceplate that plays AR games. I mean, I don't get it.
Maybe. Yeah. So anyways, we have 53 minutes in, so we have time for a short discussion of the core topic, which is the effects of COVID-19 and possible acceleration of VR workspaces. We already touched on this a little bit earlier, obviously. But for better or for worse, whether you agree that things are being overreacted to and exaggerated or not, so the fact is a lot of things are shutting down and getting canceled because of fears of the coronavirus. Right now it's mostly international things like international summits and whatnot. And one possible result of this is that remote work is going to get a big boost, and in particular, VR remote work. Mm-hmm. So I think that would be cool. It doesn't affect my job, unfortunately, because I cannot remotely drive a bus yet.
Yeah.
If that teleexistence robot comes to the U.S. and has got a good enough connection to it, I probably could drive it that way.
Hmm.
I'm not sure parents would be willing to let their kid be on the bus with it, but because they wouldn't necessarily trust it. But I could drive it.
Okay, and that probably will be an intermediate solution in between the auto bus and the,
Right.
between self-driving and now, there probably will be an in-between stage where drivers take over remotely
Right.
or watch
So
over them.
we'll see. Well, yeah, and um, yeah, remote work and especially VR remote work isn't gonna replace or help every
No, no.
workplace out there because there's still a lot of work that can only be done in person.
Well, I don't know about a lot of work, some work for sure,
Well,
but
all depends on the definition of a lot.
mhm. Well, have you
Your
seen
definition of a lot.
have you seen the new Amazon store that they're opening, the new grocery store that's a full-size supermarket that's cashierless?
No, but I'm not surprised about that.
Right,
They've already had that going on a small scale, basically
right.
within Whole Foods and other places. Um, my guess is they would still have some sort of b- backup monitoring system in place to make sure people didn't somehow find a way to take advantage of things. You know?
Oh, I'm sure there's cameras all over the
Yeah.
place. I mean, that I'm not concerned with, but the
Yeah.
fact that it's going to go cashierless is just another indication of, people not being needed in
Well,
certain areas.
well, for that matter, there's services like Shipt and Uber Eats and whatnot, where you go on an app and you do your shopping on the app, and then if someone else goes out and buys it, hey, and delivers it to you.
Right. Oh
Uh,
yeah, no. I mean, yes, we've become complete. Although they just printed a report that shows you how on food, at least, your food from DoorDash or Grubhub or any of these places
mhm.
is actually going to cost you about 80% more than if you
Well,
actually
yeah,
went to the store to
yeah,
get.
yeah. Well, yeah, because the person who's doing it has to make money on top of you doing it, so it's going to be a little bit more expensive than instead of just going out and doing it yourself.
Until the
But
drones are delivering it.
um, in theory, if you calculate in your gas cost, you know, you might still be saving money, depending on how far away the grocery store is from you. You
Right.
know, so,
True.
so you know, so that's going to vary, but yeah, the price per food item is going to be a little bit higher when you use a service like that because there's a convenience fee. You know,
Well, that's another part that we didn't even get into is that, people are. What about going to a supermarket where you have hundreds of people at any given point that could be spreading any of these sort of illnesses until we know what's
yeah,
happening? So,
yeah.
yeah, I know that they've canceled any event over 1,000 people in a few countries now.
Yeah, I believe it. Um, and as I've mentioned before, I think some of this is overreaction, some of it not. It can be hard to tell. I mean, obviously, in other countries where they are currently having outbreaks of it and this and that, that might not be an overreaction. But here in the U.S. right now, a lot of it, I feel, is an overreaction, but it is what it is. Whether it's an overreaction or not, it is happening, and what are the possible ramifications of it happening? You know, one of them is, so something's gonna step in and say, "Hey, we'll do it in VR, maybe." You know, or they'll say, you know what, we're not going to do these big in-person events anymore. Now we're just going to do live streams, which I think would be one of the worst possible outcomes of it. But, you know,
Right. Well, that's just it, though. We really don't know where it's going to go because it can generate down to schools as well as businesses, and
yeah,
we'll have to see what happens. I guess it all depends on,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, how
I was going to
contained they
say,
keep.
if I remember right, Facebook, when they canceled F8, they said they were still going to be doing local events. That they just weren't going to be doing the big Facebook conference. And the local events are like local, like accelerator things, or high schools and projects there, and that kind of thing, or local meetups and whatnot. So it might result in that we're going to see more just hyper local events that are all tied together at the same time, like the global game jam.
Right.
That's on a global level, but it's all local groups doing it.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens because I know I also just read this morning or last night that Amazon not only has canceled all global meetings, but all domestic meetings as well.
Really.
So,
Well,
yeah.
again, needing VR, needing AR.
Right. Well, I don't think it'll be in VR until Amazon makes their own headset, but
Right.
yeah, it's coming. I
Yeah.
think it's definitely coming, which is great, right? So now everybody who has been isolated from their neighbors anyway because of our society can
You
now
get
be
even more
completely isolated.
isolated.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
you won't recognize anyone because they'll be wearing the NP95 respirator, so everybody will just be like a set of eyes above a respirator and under a hat. It'll be interesting.
Boy. That sounds like a dystopia. A
I
little
guess
bit.
I think I've been watching too much Netflix lately.
Or something. Actually, that sounds like the world that some animes are set in, like really old, the classic anime, New Dominion, Tank Police, is set in the world. Well, in Japan, they kind of do this already, anyways. But in a world where acid rain level is set too high, you need to wear a suit, or smog levels are too high, you need to wear a mask when you go out, and you
Well,
know.
didn't you see the mask at Consumer Electronics Show now that they actually have like a $350 or $400? It's just a surgical mask, but it's this giant bubble that you put over your face.
I didn't see that, no, but I do know they've got that s- uh, the privacy thing that you wear around your neck, and if you don't want people to hear you talking on the phone or whatever, you close it up over your mouth, and it prevents other people from hearing you.
Oh, wow.
But you're like wearing this mask that.
You sound like Darth Vader. I saw this bracelet that blocks Alexa and Siri and Google from listening to you. It's a privacy bracelet, so nobody else can monitor what you're saying, which is
Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, the only way I could see that working is if it's emitting an ultrasound thing that just scrambles, or something.
Well, I guess they found whatever it is that, like on the TV, when they're showing
Oh,
a
right,
commercial for Alexa and they say her name, and all of a sudden you see it cut off. Like they obviously have a signal that says, no, don't listen to this, or
right.
turn off the light and don't let them know
Well,
you're listening to this.
Shazam does that also. If you're watching the Beat Shazam show and you have Shazam open, it knows you are watching that, and it doesn't just identify the music. It says, "Oh, do you want to play along?" Yeah.
Oh
But yeah,
yeah.
they have it so that phrases in the commercials uh, are not activating things, but that's partially because of I think it was a Burger King commercial where they did, in the commercial they went, okay, Google, and blah, 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 blah. And my phone just activated over there.
I was waiting for mine when I said that before too. I never know what's going to answer
But
me.
they can register the phrases at things so that it knows not to react to those phrases.
Right.
Or it doesn't react to those phrases in that voice, because in a commercial, it's always going to be that same voice.
Exactly.
And it can do voice recognition. That will respond to my voice, but not my wife's voice.
Right. I have a Google Pixel phone, and it's the same thing. It's it knows who I am, and it thinks and freaks people out.
Right. Right. So yeah, but yeah. Well, but yeah, we will see where this goes with how this ultimately affects things on at societal level. Personally, I think it might be a little bit of a push towards remote workspaces, which is not a bad thing. But I think that by summer, this will have mostly died down, unless things take a turn for the worse, obviously. But I think by summer it will have mostly died down, and the media will have gotten tired of reporting it, and it'll become just another part of everyday life. That now we have this different version of the flu, essentially. And I know it's not exactly the same as influenza, but it's in the same family. And it spreads like the flu and has similar flu and cold like symptoms of it. It's a respiratory infection,
right.
So and it'll be just another thing, and we'll get a vaccine for it, and it'll become part of the regular everyday, or every fall at the beginning of flu season. Okay, well, what strain of the coronavirus do we need to vaccinate against, or
Yeah, I know. Just one more thing we didn't really need.
Yeah, and ultimately, in the long term, it's not going to have that big of an effect on things. It's going to be just another illness.
Yeah,
So that's what I think in the long term.
In the short term, though, it really has disrupted the global supply chain, and now we know how fragile it is. So
yeah, but SARS, MERS, bird flu, swine flu, those all disrupted things also, and those are now commonplace.
right.
This has happened before. It'll happen again. People panic, and then they go, "Oh wait, it wasn't quite as bad as we were afraid of. It's just now normal, everyday, commonplace."
Well, ironically, I think it's kind of good if we can control this, because it will obviously find more pathogens over, as we go through climate change, and more areas that have been under ice become not under ice, and less dormant, and more viruses that have been.
In theory, the viruses that have been under ice for millions of years or whatever, that they shouldn't be able to affect us, because we will have evolved past what they were evolved for.
Perhaps. We just don't know yet. It's all theory. Right, exactly.
And if you subscribe to other theories, they weren't necessarily there millions of years either, and but who knows?
Okay, right. But dormant, unseen viruses are definitely something we should be aware of.
Yeah, but even then, I'm not a subscriber to the horror movie version of things of that nature. I don't think there's some mysterious virus lurking under the ice that's going to result in a Robin Cook book happening in real life. You know,
Right, we
I
just
really
don't
don't.
know. That's just it.
I
It's
know
just we
we
don't know.
don't know, but I don't think that's going to happen. Because you know, if it's been under the ice for millions of years, that means things survived it already.
Hmm.
And it also means that there more likely than not been enough changes in us and animals that it will have a hard time affecting us. And it may mutate and be able to, but in the process of mutating and being able to affect us, it's going to mutate in what it does too.
Hmm.
And it might mutate to a less intense thing, or So who knows? But we can't live on what ifs, you know?
No, but we could just take a lesson from what happened now,
Yeah.
which was just how badly the supply chain got impacted. And
Well,
if you were waiting for a quest, you would be
well,
feeling that way.
yeah, and that's something they can learn from and adapt to, and say, no, maybe we should have listened to that old adage about having your eggs in one basket.
Hmm.
No, maybe
Yeah.
we should put some of our eggs over here and over here. Yeah.
Yeah.
And and maybe it's a good thing people have been trying to get U.S. companies to pull out of China for everything and be in the U.S. because we have better hygiene practices here, and maybe it's a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, the other thing is it's Elon Musk taking us to Mars and saying,
So,
maybe it's better if we
yeah.
take the
I
eggs
don't
and
think
put
we're
them in
gonna get
the
to
back.
Mars anytime soon.
Well, I haven't packed, so I'm not expecting to be there anytime within the next few weeks. But
I'm not expecting to be there any time in the next couple of years, at least. I know. I think Elon Musk just said at one point that he thought 2021. I'm like, I don't think so.
no,
That's
I'm
way,
not.
way too early to get people to Mars. I think.
Right. No, I'm thinking we're probably a lot closer to 2040 if we're being
Yeah.
realistic. But
Anyways, we're at 1 minute or 1 hour and 12 minutes. We pretty much exhausted things, and we're moving off topic now. I think a little bit.
yes, I noticed that.
I think
So,
Mars is a little off topic from the
so
topic.
yes, okay, but we could throw it
Well,
back into the
and you
spinning.
never know. There may be viruses on Mars that are worse.
Oh no! Oh no!
We're gonna bring back the Martian flu.
Oh, there you go. That'll be nice. Okay. On that note,
We'll all grow tentacles out of our nose.
oh God. Well, are you going to work on the game and have what happens when we get to Mars and the tentacles start growing out of our noses?
I don't know. Maybe I know one of my high school friends in high school when we were supposed to be writing about what we wanted to do when we grew up. He said he wanted to be a balloon farmer on Mars. He may yet get his chance to make that happen.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Balloon farming on Mars. I'll
Yeah,
have to think that one over. We'll talk about that next week.
yeah, that may make a good VR game. I don't know.
I'm just thinking that. Let's see who can get together to make that one.
So, anyways, VR Untethered is signing out. Remember to like and subscribe and coerce all your friends to like and subscribe to us also.
Yes, that would be nice of you.
And if you took advantage of the code giveaway last week, please let us know what game you got and how you are enjoying it, because we would love to know.
Absolutely.
And on that note, bye.
Bye.